Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back, Converter Crew. Welcome to our live stream. Uh, we do every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 8 o'clock. Getting ready to check out those charts, kind of see what's going on for today. Hopefully, y'all had a good day yesterday. But yeah, just jump right into it, I guess. So yesterday was a pretty decent day overall. You kind of had that breakdown in the morning. So if you got into that, nice. And then about 12 to 2, then right after that, I guess, for our that news event that we were talking about yesterday, we kind of got a breakup, continuation up. You really could have taken almost an uptrade yesterday as well. Um, and we did end up breaking some of that resistance that we were talking about yesterday here at that 24-hour volume area high from yesterday at 117,246. We ended up breaking that, so kind of negating some of that divergence, at least on the smaller time frames. But we'll kind of get into that, and we'll talk about that today. It's not really. I don't think we're out of it yet, I guess is what I'm gonna say. So yeah, we'll check that out today, and then we'll just go over to the battle box, just kind of like normal, you know. So heading on to our AI, we got the Converter Battle Box AI. If you want to check this out, there's a link in the comment or in the description. Sorry, so you can go ahead and check that out. Um, if you just want to use it by yourself, or yeah, just see it for yourself, I guess. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with our market review. It's going to ask for those 4 different time frames and a couple other things that we'll have to get, like the FRVP levels, 30-minute candles, and then the news screenshot. So first thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab that news screenshot for us. You won't see this on screen, but we just go to cryptograph.com. Looks like there's not a lot of news today, so nothing super worrisome, which is, I guess, good for good for us. We got some news that came out at 2 in the morning, some at 6, some at 7:30, and then some at 9. Nothing high impact, all just kind of medium to no impact really. So nothing I'm really worried about. But yeah, let's jump in and get those other screenshots. So heading back to our trade view, we'll just go to the different time frames, starting with the 4-hour, and get those different screenshots. Now what I like to do is auto click all of them, just so you get all of the same kind of levels here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off our different live stream levels. That way our chart's just nice and clean, just like this. Get those screenshots. And we'll just go through and paste them all into our GPT. Screenshot and then paste. Hopefully y'all got into some of those nice trades yesterday. That downtrend was actually pretty nice. We kind of called it on the live. We were talking about it. I would have thought it would fall in a little bit farther, but that news event, I think, kind of messed with it a little bit. I'm sure it did, because it was a pretty decent news event. I think there was like 1, 2, or 3 actually, like right there in that same time frame. So decent amount. We got our 4 screenshots now, so if we check them out, we got 4-hour here, and then we got 1 hour, 15, and then 5, and then we got our news one we just put in there. So next we'll do FRVP levels, and for these I just like to type like FRVP right here, and then go down and say 24-hour, and then warning. I say volume area high, POC, volume area low. And I'll just copy and paste those under warning as well. And then this is kind of just where we'll paste them once we get them. So we'll just paste the levels right after the abbreviations there. So that way you kind of get, it's just like an easy way to put them in here. I used to just take a screenshot of them, but the issue is like it's not super accurate. So you end up kind of getting some levels that are off. So it's better to actually input them, even though it's a little bit more work. All right. So we'll head to our GPT, our trade view, and I'm gonna go to that 1 hour. Go down, grab your FRVP levels. If you need to know where they are, they're 4 down from the crosshairs. Click over, and then it's gonna be under volume based. I have mine starred, but that's where it is. And then we'll zoom in a little bit, make it a little easier on us. And we're gonna go to yesterday. So yesterday is gonna be Tuesday, and we'll go to 7 o'clock. So Tuesday at 7 o'clock is there, and then we're going to Wednesday. Or oh wow, my bad. It wasn't used Tuesday yesterday, was it? It was Wednesday yesterday. Wednesday at 7 o'clock to today at 7 o'clock. There we go. Make sure you got those right. Yeah. All right. I guess make sure you get the right day. Then you're going to click and drag your volume area high down to the red one. POC is going to be on yellow, and volume area low will be on blue. If you don't have these yet, it's just Alt J to get one of these lines. Just like that. Then you can change the styles and stuff up in the settings. We have a video covering that on our channel if you're interested. If you don't know how to do that, just go ahead and drop these on here, just like that. And then we're just, the easiest way to get the numbers is just to click on them, go to settings, and then go to coordinates and just grab them right out of here. And go back to our GPT and paste them. We'll just do all of them real fast. Alright, so that's our 24-hour ones done. So we'll go ahead and take those back off. And then I'm going to grab the back side of this line here. And we're going to click on it. And instead of 7 now, we're going to 3 this morning. And these will be our morning ones. Let's turn those on. And they're all going to be real tight right here. So I'm just going to kind of drag and drop them. Actually coming up to that POC right now. Alright, so you got those down. Make sure they're pretty accurate. We'll blue down a little bit. There we go. Looking good. So now we'll just grab them, do the same thing. Just copy and then paste them into, this time in our morning one. So Alright, so we got our 24-hour now. We got our morning levels. The next thing that we're going to grab is that 30-minute candle, and then we're ready to send in all of our stuff and see what just see what the market recap has to say about today. So I'm going to go ahead and just type it in here real fast to get ready. So 30-minute candle, and then high and low. And we'll go back to trade view. So I'm going to take my FRVP, just delete it, and then I'm going to close my lines out or hide them. So that way our chart looks nice and clean again, easy to see. Head to the 30-minute, and we'll go to that 7:30 candle and just hover over it. And then what we're going to do is up at the top under, on my screen it'll say it under Kubota, but there's an H and an L. We'll get that high and the low from there. So the high is 117.206. So 117. 206. Wow. And then back to our chart, and we got 117.02. 17.02. Alright, all of our levels are now on here. We got our new screenshot, all of our 4 screenshots. So we're ready to send it in. We'll see what kind of trades we can get from today. Yesterday, it actually called it pretty decently, honestly. I'm guessing that we're kind of going to be looking at that down run still. Could get a more of an up run again. We'll kind of see what happens on here. There still is that, which I'll show you right now, I guess, before we really get into it. But essentially on that 4-hour, there's still this, and let's see if I can get it a little more prevalent. But on the 4-hour, it's real bad, but you can see we got this real uptrend here on the top, and then on the R side, we got a major downtrend. So that's pretty major divergence, just regular divergence, nothing special, but it is showing that we have some down run, and we had some divergence here, and now it's almost like even worse. So it didn't really like fix itself on the higher time frames, I guess is what I'm saying. Even between these 2 points here, you still have divergence even just there. So decent amount of divergence here on the chart. And then going to the 1-hour, it's the same kind of thing. So we got that uptrend here on the 1-hour, and same kind of thing. It's not as bad on the 1-hour. Like it's closer to flat, I guess, which is still a form of divergence. If you got like flat RSI and the chart's obviously having an upward trend, then that's still divergence, but it's just not quite as strong. But either way, it's divergence is divergence. So it's something to be mindful of for sure. I would say now, like, this is a pretty strong level again now that we're kind of came up and hit that level and made another higher high essentially before kind of coming down again. So essentially we should kind of see a breakdown according to the longer time frames. When I was looking at the shorter ones earlier, I didn't see the div on them anymore, so just something to watch for. We can kind of get into it though now. Our market recap's ready, so I'll kind of read off what the recap says about the different time frames, or the battle walk says about the different time frames, and then we can kind of go over. Wow, that's crazy. Was that really? Yeah, I'm gonna check my FRVP levels because seems like seems a little off, but it might be right. Yeah, yeah. Well, normally the 24-hour are kind of spaced out over top of the um morning ones, but I guess not today. All right, so for the 4-hour, the battle box is saying that BT is pushing above the clustered EMA structures, shows higher lows. Yep, higher low, and higher low. Momentum's up but not extended. RSI is near middle line, suggesting room but not full strength. So we're up near this, above this middle line here on the RSI. So this is middle line here, and then we're kind of sitting almost middle line of the overbought section. So not completely up in the overbought area, but it's starting to get there. And then it also says volume is balanced. So yeah, going over it, we kind of got somewhat of one of these kind of flags forming here. We got something like that kind of forming, and typically these break out to the downside, so you see something like this. If you really wanted to pull the pole, I guess, you need to go like this, kind of measure from there to there. So that's kind of what it looked like. Looking at 111, I wouldn't think we'd drop that far, but you never know. So that's kind of the pattern, I guess, that it's forming. We got the MACD kind of just breaking up. We're about 4 bars into the bullish side, but we also really haven't gotten any kind of like momentum there. It's just they're almost flat, which is not great for like volume wise. Not showing a lot of like price action like moving around. So really just flat, which is kind of what the chart shows as well. So you had this nice up move here where we turned green, and then just 2 or 3 bars of just kind of sideways, nothing action. You got the stoaches kind of getting ready to curl down again, which is a bearish sign essentially, but the stoaches are not something that we really look at on the 4-hour. It's too long of a time frame really for them. So overall, I'd say it looks like we're setting up bearish. Are we bearish yet? We'll see. Kind of neutral to bearish. Heading to the 1-hour. We got that divergence we talked about earlier. And then battle box, I guess, says that we have a strong leg up, followed by a consolidation near the 117K shelf. So consolidation about right there at that shelf. EMAs are stacked bullish. MACD is slowing and early compression signs. So we see MACD kind of fired up as we fired out of the bottom here yesterday, up into where we hit that 117.5 level. And then after we hit that, it's kind of starting to die off. We're starting to see momentum switch to the downside. So we're kind of looking for that cross here. Maybe a push downwards. RSI started to curl down and show us that we were going to get a breakdown here, but then it's now since kind of curled back up and is back above the slower moving average. So possible a little bit more of an up run, I guess, before we curl back down. On the RSI or the stoaches, we're kind of the same way. So we got we're curling down, and we're starting to kind of see that bottoming here. It is getting near oversold on the stoches as well. Again, too long of time frame really for the stoches, but something to be mindful of. Really, these two are what we're kind of looking at. So overall, still looking somewhat bullish. Has it flipped fully, saying, "Hey, we're gonna drop out"? So overly bullish as of right now. Still heading on to that 15. So on the 15, we got a range bound chop just under 117.2. Repeated wicks on both side, compression of the volume and potential staging area. So we're kind of just range bound right here in between the volume area high and volume area low until we just broke out, which we just had that retest technically there. So essentially, if we already had kind of had the setup, we would have gotten in right there. Stop there. And for lack of a better target there, I guess. Yeah, so that's kind of technically we just threw that trade. We had that break and retest, which is our system. So we got the break retest to the volume area high. Time to get in for an up trade. We'll see how it runs. If you've been around, you know that the time to get out is if we get that break under the volume area high. If we get that break down, essentially, like we close below it, and then it's time to just pull the trade, get out. We're not going to wait for it to come all the way down here. Anyways, back to checking out the chart. So you got this, and I'm going to hide this. So we got our trade going here. Alright, sorry, we got our MACD just flips upwards, so looking good on the 15-minute. We got these RSI just kind of sideways chop, nothing great. RSI, our stoches are kind of getting into that overbought area, so nothing too exciting really there. It's kind of looking like we're starting to get to the top here on at least on the stoches wise. RSI is showing we can kind of flip either way. The slower moving average hasn't really curled either way. And then you got the MACD starting to show that we're going to flip the other. Well, it's showing bullish as of right now. How long will it stay bullish? We'll see. It's still, it is only one candle, so it still has the potential. If this candle drops down, we could see it flip back the other way. So I'm not super interested in it yet, quite yet. Heading back to the 5-minute. The 5-minute battle box says we got tight consolidation between the two levels. EMA is flattening, fading momentum, execution time frame waiting on break. Yep. So we got that break. It's running off of a little bit old data now by the time that we're looking at this, since we sent in our screenshots a little bit ago. So we got that break, we got that retest essentially, so we got our trade on, running it up to that target. MACD just flipped positive. We got 4 bars in it already. We could look for about 8 before we see that curl over. RSI is looking good. We're seeing that uptrend happening. We got a curl. It's getting into that overbought zone, but we still have quite a bit to go before it's really worrisome. Stoches are topped out, so we could see a possible just kind of flat line here and the chart continue up, or we could see it start to curl down, which could be an early indicator we're going to get that at least a pullback, maybe a better retest of this volume area high. We have to kind of judge that based off of how the other indicators kind of handle it if we do get that pullback. Yeah, that's really it for the kind of analysis of the 4 different time frames. It's kind of what we're looking at. So longer time frames are kind of looking more bearish, whereas shorter time frames are kind of showing we might get another push up, maybe a retest of that top there. We'll kind of see. So next thing that we're gonna do on this stream is we're gonna head, kind of I guess look through this, but nothing too exciting on here. It says high on all these impacts, but as you remember from the screenshot, they're all medium to low, so nothing to worry about. Execution considerations, normal volume session given the data load, 15-minute confirmation preferred for breakouts, and 5-minute retest. Macro wall not engaged, and the nearest friction is intraday shelves, not the weekly. So the weekly must be a decent way off, so it's not something to really worry about. If you're interested in these emo levels, they're right there. Go ahead and pause it and take some of those if you want them. But we are going to move on to building our battle plan. There we go. And let's change that to let's instead of kets. Our trade is actually going pretty nicely. Got that up run. We'll see if we get that close above here. We did technically get in more like here, essentially like by the time we saw it, so it doesn't fully count, but we went off of when we should have gotten in based off of how it retested. Which if you are trading, not if you're trading live, that doesn't work. Like you gotta get in when you get in. So I guess we'll throw it up there. We'll remember we should have gotten in here, but we really got in like right there. Kind of see how this goes. Still like a $50 essentially if you went up. So not a terrible trade, money in the pocket's always nice. Heading back to our GPT, we got that battle box ready, or that battle plan ready. Alright, so scenario 1. We get that close above the 15, or above the volume area high, which is what we just got actually. So they got that 15-minute confirmation, and then the 5-minute close or retest of it. So our entry, so the primary, we enter on the 15-minute close. Oh wow, so this is saying get a little bit more. Yeah, so this is saying like, oh yeah, get in on that 15-minute close. But obviously the smarter thing to do is kind of wait for that 5-minute retest. It's more of a less risk because you're getting that retest showing that it's going to continue higher and not just like stop right there. So our first target's going to be 1755, which is basically where that line is that I drew of just kind of the top for today that I was kind of showing, like based off of that divergence that we were looking at earlier. And then kind of the stretch goal would be, like 18,000 all the way up to 18.8. So quite a bit higher. If we check out the chart, there's that line that I was talking about. So that's about that 15.5 or 117.555. It's about right there. If we continue up to that 18, it's going to be all the way up here. And then if it really goes up to 18.5, that'll be even higher. So that'd be a crazy move for us. We'd get over a 3-to-1 if we went all the way up to 18.5. Even 18 would be a good move at almost 2-to-1. But I would, based off of the ways the charts look, this is probably the better target overall, at least in my opinion. Again, we're not here to give any kind of financial advice. We're just here for educational purposes. But That's kind of what I'd be looking at. So it also says the same thing if we get that stop below the volume area high, or if we get that like break of the volume area high, and we get that close on the 15-minute, then we're going to be kind of looking at that breakdown. Just get out before it starts breaking down even harder. That's really kind of just our system, I guess, overall. Which the way that we took it would be a little bit more of a risk, I guess. If you had taken it more of the right time, you'd be pretty low risk. Like, you're not gonna lose a whole lot. And we are getting a crazy candle right here, and like major Darth Maul wick right now. Kind of see what happens here, but a lot of volume right now for some reason. Okay, so heading back to scenario B. So we got that bear breakdown. So price breaks and closes the 15-minute below the 117s, the morning area low. So simple, typical battle box trade. If you've been here before, you know what we're doing. Got that. If you get that close above the volume area low, then we're gonna look on essentially entering on a 5-minute retest of that line. The first target's going to be 16.4, and then 16.2 will be the next target. So if we check those out, 16.4 is going to be like right above the 24 volume area high, 24-hour volume area high, and then that next target will be actually the 24-hour volume area high. If price gets a close, 50-minute close above the volume area low, then that's slash the POC. That's kind of where we'll just jump out. We're not holding it past then. The last two trades are kind of just more advanced. You can kind of trade. This last one actually wouldn't even work because we don't have real news today. It thinks that we do, but we don't have that much news. Not enough to. It's not going to affect anything really like that. So, if you are a news trader, I guess you probably could find something, but we don't really trade news here. So, one other thing you could do is kind of trade the chop as it continues. If it had continued between the volume area high and volume area low, but as we know, we already got that breakout. So, plan A is kind of the trade for today, at least. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're kind of trading right now. So we got those different zones, which are just the essentially kind of what we've already gone over. 1755, so that 4-hour wick high. So that's exactly where we were looking earlier. That's basically what I marked when we were talking about that divergence. It talks about basically to watch out for that news event. Obviously, news event's not that worrisome today. It's not a big deal. It's just low risk, so nothing to worry about. So quick execution shift is just basically a little checklist of our going over kind of what our like stuff is, like the typical stuff we talk about in this live stream. Just like we get that close above the 15-minute, and then 5-minute retest, you get in and then you take it up. So we'll kind of see where we're at now. We're actually, this candle's starting to look decent again. I was getting a little worried there. That was a pretty crazy candle actually, but now it's looking pretty good. So like before, when it was just kind of like sitting here, that'd be a Darth Maul candle, which is typically, I don't even know if that's what you actually call it. That's what I always call it, but essentially, if it's kind of just sitting right here and you got a major wick to the upside, major wick to the downside, then that typically means you're going to get that flip of price action. So it might have one of those candles, and then like 1 or 2 candles later, you'll see it's like we were going up before. Now you might see a flip and we go down now. It just means that there's indecisiveness kind of in the buyers and sellers on I guess which one's like kind of stronger for at least this time frame. But we did get that pull back up, and essentially the bulls won. So we got that close above here. You got that nice long wick, which is good for us. That shows a lot of volume and push to the bull side. So for our trade we have on right now, that's a good sign. Doesn't mean that it's going to go up, but it's a good sign for our bull trade. We're still waiting a little bit till we get that hit right there. And I believe we're actually like right on the target, so I'm gonna move this down just a tad. So that way we're not like sitting right on target. You kind of want to be under it just a tad, because like whenever you're right on it, you have the potential for it to, we just got out. You have the potential for it to kind of come up and like barely miss you. Like, see, if I had been trading our target here, our line, it would have just barely missed us there. And actually that happens quite a bit. You'll come up and it'll barely miss that line that you're like, and of course it went through it, but it'll come up and just like barely miss your resistance that you're looking for, because it essentially hits it. But you know, since resistances and supports are both kind of ranges, so you'll come up and just hit that, and then it will break down right off of that, and you won't even ever get that target you're looking for. It's essentially you're just kind of being too greedy, I would say. So it's always better to trade just a little bit below it. And the reason I pulled it down is because the battle box was saying that resistance is at 55, and my line's actually a little bit above that, so I was going to pull it down just a tad below that 55 level. But obviously we could have held it and would have got that. So essentially $60 in your pocket if you're trading $100 for the stream. Not a bad stream trade today. That was actually a pretty nice little trade. The only time you'd be a little worried, I guess, is that nice little wick there. But not a get out wick, just a give you little gray hairs, I guess. But yeah, overall, pretty good trade. Perfect, basically by the books. If you had actually gotten in at the right time, or even if you got in like right here on this wick and took that down trade, if you got in there, you would have made about $90 just at the bottom of this when it actually retested, and we just weren't ready, I guess, to trade. You're still going over the market review for today. But if you did, even if you took this here, like you were saying, oh, I missed it here, and you're just kind of waiting, got that another retest essentially. So if you'd gotten in here, you do kind of have to balls of steel really to get in there, because that was that candle was not looking great. Whenever like you saw some, like through these three candles are kind of showing some, like that's almost a Darth Maul there, and then you got a bigger wick on the top side, bigger wick on the top side again. So you're kind of looking like, maybe we are going to turn here, and then you get that major down candle. Like that would have been a little scary just based off like reading the candle wicks. But if you did get in there, like nice job. That'd be a nice trade up. You would have made about a 1-to-1 essentially there. So not bad, not bad. And again, you could pull your stop up. Like that's just if you really wanted to trade it like tight, you could trade it technically right there. That would have been a 4-to-1, but we always like to trade and also teach people to kind of trade with that longer stop, because it just makes it where you can kind of pull your trade off when you need to, rather than always getting knocked out. And it seems like when you put your stop kind of tight like that, always seems like something like this will come down, just spike you out, and then it will continue up higher. So that longer stop just kind of helps you get a little buffer room. And you could have pulled it in just a tad tighter on that breakout. I just wanted to get it below this kind of support zone that we have here, obviously coming in. But if you could have thrown it right under that breakout, and that would have been a 1-to-1, even if you traded it just right there. So, or if you took it wherever you took it, it would have been almost 80 instead of that 60 that we got. But having to stop out just a little bit more, it gives you a little more buffer room. which for this trade, you know, you didn't need it, but hindsight's always 2020. Yeah, overall, good trade. Hopefully you guys got into that, but if you didn't, there'll always be another one. So just keep learning, keep growing, keep trying to figure out the battle box. Make sure you check it out if you haven't already. Check out the battle box. We'll also have that recap video coming out at 10 o'clock. So if you're interested in kind of seeing what our thoughts were yesterday and kind of a little more in depth than I went on over on the live stream, you'll see that on there. But yeah, overall, good stream. The levels will be coming out on X from the stream in a little bit, so make sure you're watching for that. But yeah, happy trading today. Looks like we're gonna come back down into our little range here, but yeah, happy trading. Hopefully y'all have a good day. I'll see you guys next week on Tuesday at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m.